my goal is to try to get people who can't understand where we're coming from, where you see what's going on in the world right now. I panicked a little bit. Hey man, it brings back the old days. But
I was always ready to go. Like, anytime you show up to the party with this, it better be drinkable. Oh, there's that cinnamon.
So now let's jump into what we do best, man. We're gonna podcast with the podcasters.
Okay, so the podcast topic that we had brought up was from
the gentleman I just mentioned.
Yes, it was from Travis.
So you better be tuned in.
You better tune all the fucking way in. So it's something in your life you enjoy that people may judge you for or try to convince you not to do.
Yeah.
That's pretty
much my entire life.
That's kind of like a guilty pleasure. That's a good topic.
Yeah, it is. And so Travis, big thank you for that. And I'll talk a little bit about Travis after we get into this topic. But James, you want to take this or you want me to jump in?
No, go ahead, jump in. I'm still thinking.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this right off the top. I enjoy drinking. You know what I mean? And I think even saying that can come with some real negative connotations to it, right? I think if you drink it responsibly, you're blacking out, you're fucking up, then you're in a bad zone, right? I enjoy what we do right now, right? Here we are. I think a big part, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think a big part of even how this whole segment comes into play is because I like to drink, and I'm like kind of like, hey man, I think we can do this. I'm not saying solely, but I think this is a big part of it. But I'd say for me, man, I do think that can be perceived negatively. You add the cigars into it, make it even worse. You know what I mean? But this is my thing that I like to do. And I think there's levels to it, right? Like, if I'm sitting here, I get fucking blackout drunk right now, and I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to drive home, things like that. I get the point. I absolutely understand. If I don't remember what I did the day before, absolutely get it. I typically do remember. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you either. There's sometimes I've gone out and I went too far, and I'm like, damn, all right. You learn how to manage that, and then you understand, hey, I don't like that feeling. But I guess for me, and I think people that know me, I think that what I'm saying would probably be the most obvious one there. I definitely will indulge myself in some alcohol.
Do you think that? Do you consider yourself a connoisseur? Cause like I know we do our thing with whiskey time, but like when it comes to like beers, and do you consider it kind of a hobby?
Yeah, and that's a good question, James. I like to try new things. I like to see what they're all about. Beer is one thing that I'd say this. I have in my mind, and I know there's people way more passionate about it than I. However, I really like the different kind of beers and understanding what they are and how they're made and what is the differences in how they're made. How do you get a Guinness that's dark and no carbon? And then what makes an IPA an IPA? Then what's a West Coast IPA? What's a hazy IPA? Which a lot of people say is a lazy IPA. You know what I mean? I really enjoy those things. You know what I mean? And then trying them and seeing what they're about. And then even then with those, so let's say IPAs. Very generic term. In the world of someone who enjoys IPAs, they're saying, oh, I like IPA means nothing really. What IPAs do you like? Because there's such a variety. And so it's same as whiskey, right? Like there's such a variety, you get your bourbons, your scotch, your Islay scotch, your fucking Highland scotch, you know what I mean? Your Irish, your Australians, you know what I'm literally looking up here. Like you got your blends, you got your single malt, you know what I mean? And I really enjoy understanding that. And then it's enjoyable to do it to me. You know what I mean? Like I like to drink. I don't like to drink, I would say, in abundance, but I do enjoy even seltzers. You know what I mean? Like I shout out to Old Stump, who made a seltzer, because typically I'm like, seltzers are lame. It's like 4%. I don't really care like to drink this. I will be honest with you. I don't drink just to like taste it. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to get somewhere with it. I'm not trying to get blacked out. I'm trying to get in the
In
pocket.
the pocket.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like that's the goal. And so like if I had a White Claw, I'm like, okay, why? You know what I mean? Like I'll shotgun some White Claws. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But Old Stump makes a fucking seltzer that's almost 7%. It'll get you there. You know what I mean? And you
Yeah.
don't gotta go. You don't have to have 15 of them. But and again, I was against them all the way. But Old Stump had one, and I thought, let me give it a shot. You know what I mean? Like what? I enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's kind of to me, I kind of equate it to food. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I've had this kind of steak in New York strip. What's a ribeye? Let me try ribeye. Let me try the filet mignon. Let me try the tomahawk. Let me try,
The
you know what I
Wagyu.
mean, the wagyu. You know what I mean, that A5. Or you jump into the A7. You know what I mean? Now you're talking. Or cooking. You know what I mean? You made a dish this way, but now you want to try making it this way.
Yeah.
And for me, I think I do enjoy that. But beer, like I like the whiskey. Whiskey's great. I love it. But beer, I'm like I have a way deeper rooted passion for it. It's funny I said deeper rooted because Old Stumps thing is deeply
Deeply
rooted.
rooted.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Those guys are onto
It's
something there.
working.
Yeah, no,
It's
I
working.
enjoy it, and the people there are great. So if you guys have never been to Old Stump, fucking check it out, dude. I love Old
Great
Stump.
brewery.
Yeah,
Great.
every like the beers are good, the vibes are good.
Great spot.
Check it out. So that turned into a plug for Old Stump,
Yeah.
but I'm not mad at it.
You know what's cool too though? Like before we started whiskey time, I was a fan of whiskey.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, like, growing up, I've always heard that expression, "Pick your poison."
Mm-hmm.
Pick your poison. And growing up, I didn't really know what that meant. But like right now, in the pocket fucking area here,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have what?
There's 10. I
There's
counted them when I got here. I have an obsession with counting
10
things.
plus the one on the table. We got 11 whiskeys here,
Well, there's fucking more.
and
There's
we got
12.
12 over here.
Yeah.
We got whiskey all over the place here. And the cool thing is, so if you say pick your poison now, I'm looking at them like,
Yeah.
what I
It's
want,
an
what I
educated
want.
decision now.
Right.
You know
So
what I mean?
so it's like you have to build that up, and you have to try these things to, because it's more than it's not just trying to get drunk.
well,
There's more to that.
and now if if I go out and a dude's like, hey man, let's go grab some drinks, whatever, whatever. Or let's say I'm going out with people I work with and like, hey, yeah, let's go out to a bar. I'm very judgmental on what you order. Especially if you tell me, oh, I'm into bourbons. I'm very much like, well, what are you getting? You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you order something, you're like, oh, I won't call anyone out, but let's just say, oh, give me this. I'm like, wow, really, dude?
Yeah.
I thought you were into this.
Yeah.
But so I'm even more critical with beer. If you tell me, hey, oh no, yeah, like I'm into this and all of that, and it doesn't have to be craft beer, right? Because that gets a little more intricate. And I'm no expert at it by any means, but if you tell me that, and then you're just like, yeah, you know what? Give me a fucking Lagunitas. I'm not against Lagunitas. I'll drink Lagunitas, but I'm like, if I'm in a craft beer place and you pick Lagunitas, I'm very like, you don't know shit about what you're talking about. That's like a very introductory kind of beer to jump into.
Right.
You know what I mean? Same as it would be, if you're going bourbon, you're like, oh, give me a fucking what's that? Kentucky.
Jim
Kentucky.
Beam. Fucking,
No, there's a Kentucky. It's what's called Kentucky something. I
Oh,
can't
Wild
think of it.
Turkey.
Yeah, maybe it's Wild Turkey. I think I'm thinking Wild Turkey.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't even
maybe.
know. I just
don't
know
know.
that it's down there
Yeah.
with the bourbons.
Tune into our review next week when I find the actual one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But just to answer the question a little bit more, and to be fair, like I said, Travis sent me this question. Travis is another one of our supporters, and if you follow us a little bit, we have a core group of people who really support. So shout out to all of you. But
Yeah, shout out.
when he sent me this, my words to him were, "Are you trying to call me an alcoholic?" Because again, that's just me being in my own issues. It's funny. I went out with this chick the other day, and she was telling me about like, oh, what's going on? I was dating this dude and all this whatever, and fucking, I think he's an alcoholic. And from that point on, I was just like, you need to watch your alcohol consumption. You know what I mean? And I even asked her like, do you think I'm drinking too much?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, it's me, and it's interesting to always talk about it. But so to answer the question, though, finally, right? One of my things that I think is something that I enjoy that people would judge is definitely my alcohol consumption. And again, I grew up in a family that didn't drink alcohol at all. I remember I went to watch a Super Bowl with my father, and I'm sitting there, and he was like, "Well, go get some beers." And I was like, Are you really down? Like, you're down? You're down to drink some beers?"
They're in your trunk.
And I was like, "Yeah, well, fuck, you know me. I'm like, I had a million questions to ask before I go buy you some beers." And I was like, "Well, like, what do you want to drink?" He goes, "Get some Budweiser." And I was like, "What?" Like, "Nah, man, I'm out, dude. You know, I don't want to drink this shit. Are you kidding me? I think I made fun of him. So, my dad listens to this. So, Dad, yes, I was disappointed, okay? Yeah. But I was happy because you were down to do it. And so I think I went in the store and I was like, I was glad he didn't say Bud Light. I was just happy he didn't say Bud Light. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I bought some fucking Budweisers. And I think we drank I drank 2 and he had 1, probably. And the other 3 sat there for like 4 years. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's my answer, man. I think the first one that comes to my mind is alcohol consumption. A lot of people tend to tell me shit about it, but again, I by no means feel like I'm the guy that I go to work every day. I go to work on days that I don't have to go to work.
Oh,
okay.
You have to pay Ken to not go to work.
Yeah, and I'd still Ken. Show up.
And like, there's always a word that he'll walk to the door.
Yeah, like literally, yeah. Like I just fucking am like, okay, I'm going to work. It's just programmed in me to go to work. Like I want to be there. I manage my shit. I definitely think there's times and aspects of it that I could probably be better at in a lot of regards. However, with that said, I don't think I'm not the guy that gets drunk and fucks up all the time. And I'm not saying I act my greatest, but I'm definitely not like, I don't get mad when I drink. I do get a little, we've had an episode here that never aired because I was way too drunk. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that got weird. But I also don't think, I think everything I said in that, I could have said better, but I think the message was the same. You know what I mean? Like there's a way, I think I was being very interruptive and I don't let people talk when they should have, but I don't think that I don't remember.
And the funny thing about that episode is that we will redo that episode, right? Because there is one of my favorite whiskeys.
Yeah.
I like Ken. He procures all the whiskeys that come to the store.
Yeah.
I told him straight out, like, "Hey, that was a goddamn good whiskey." I don't want to say this in any condescending way. I literally patted him on the back, like, "That's a good fucking whiskey." So, we have a whiskey on deck for an episode one day that will make us return.
So we're waiting.
We're waiting until that individual comes back.
Yeah,
we could redo that, but. That was a goddamn good whiskey.
You understand how many times I've been in the store and I see it and I'm like, I really just want to get it.
Yeah.
And like this was early on when I didn't really know what I was doing. But so I would just go read reviews. And that one, I was looking at Bevmo reviews and that one came up, which also that fucking Suntory Japanese whiskey came up and that was shit. But whatever. But you know what? Even though James just said, like, I pretty much am the one that goes out and picks the whiskeys. Because it's something I'm very interested in. In the morning, I usually get up while I'm getting ready for work. I like to watch YouTube. I usually watch people talking about whiskey, like especially on Thursdays, because I know I got shit to do. I know I gotta go procure. And I like that you said procure because that made me feel eloquent. You know what I mean? But I'm like, man, I want to put the effort in. Like, and it's no one's making me. It's not like I can be like, hey, James, grab a bottle. But what's cool about that is too, when like if we all went out, me, James, and Anthony went out tomorrow, and I was like, hey guys, you want to try this? Like, trust me, no argument. Like they're like, we'll let you. Yeah, if you say it, fuck it, we're in. Yeah. And so again, it's something that I do have a passion for, but can be perceived very negatively as well. And I imagine some point in my life when life actually gets serious. Right now, I'm afforded the luxury where. If I want to go out on a Monday and if I want to, let's say this, if I want to go home and I want to just get trashed, I'm not married. I don't have kids. I have there's nothing to stop me. I'm going to get up and go to work. I'm going to do everything. So there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
But I also do understand that a lot of people don't live the same life as me, and where that would be perceived as negative.
Right.
And that, because then if you plug that same shit into that lifestyle, so like James, I'll say, James wouldn't do that. He has a kid and he takes care of his kid, so he's not going to do the same shit.
Right.
He's a girlfriend, you know what I mean? And they need to do things. Not going to fucking lend itself to that.
Right.
Whereas I'm not, you know what I mean? Like I'm just going to go do it. You know what I mean? Like, so there that is.
Yeah, which is not a completely negative thing. And that's a good one, because it is something that has just perpetuated itself through our episodes in a good light. And I have tried so many whiskeys, and people have, hey, what do you recommend?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well,
yeah. Where are you?
What do you typically like? What are they offering?
Yeah.
And I can give a good recommendation. And the good thing about indulging in anything is that there's levels to everything. So when someone says, well, I this is a little too harsh, you're like, oh, I know it's a little smoother.
Yeah.
So it comes
what
down
did you
to
have, and so that's the kind you want, but that was too harsh. Okay, we'll try this.
That to me is like the beautiful part of it. Well, it comes down to like, it's a little smoother.
Yeah.
It's a little tastier. It's
yeah.
And it's very.
What
people,
didn't you like about that one?
And not everybody's gonna be ready for that,
right? And
but you can recommend something based off of like what are you feeling with what you've had, and as someone who has had other things, I can give you a little something else. And all of a sudden, the best thing that I've gotten from this podcast from Whiskey Time is recommending a whiskey to someone, and then them going, "Holy shit, this is great."
Yeah. I think I've said before, a lot of my friends are tequila drinkers, but I went out with them one day, and we had done the High West, and I was really impressed with High West. I didn't think it was going to be what it was, you know what I mean? And I brought that over there, and they were all, I mean, my boys, I think this is mom, is fucking taking shots of High West with us, and they're all like, wow, that's really smooth. And I'm like, okay, this is cool, you know what I mean? Like, this is cool, like I can do that. And you know what's interesting, like I mentioned my dad, and I'm trying to talk to him for a minute real quick. Let's drink some fucking whiskey one day, man. You know, like my dad's like, oh, cognac, Cavassier, cognac, and I'm like, yeah, I fuck with it, you know. I mean, it is kind of in your blood. You know what I mean? Well, it's very fucked up to say, but you know what I'm saying. But I mean, my boy Willie, who was on here, very much like, oh, I'll drink some Hennessy.
We never got him the Hennessy White either.
Yeah, fuck no, dude. That shit's not cheap. You know what I mean? But
next time he's on.
Yeah, he'll be back. I'm actually probably gonna get my hair cut by him tomorrow, so fuck it. But even hearing that, I'm like, I'd like you to try something else, you know? Like I'll drink Hennessy. Don't get me fucking twisted. And you got to pair that shit with some apple juice for all y'all out there. If you don't know, get some apple juice. You don't mix it, you chase it. And I'm not a guy who chases fucking drinks, but chase Hennessy with apple juice. Fucking bon appetit.
What do you think about picklebacks?
I'm like, not my thing.
Because like some of my family that they know I'm doing a whiskey review, they're like, hey, have you ever heard of a pickleback? I'm like, yeah, I've heard of a goddamn pickleback. Yeah. But what's your point?
Dude, thank you.
They're like, oh no, you chase it. And I'm like,
yeah.
I don't have, number one,
we're not shooting it.
Yeah, and number one, I'm not, like I told Ken earlier this week, we're now the people who are swishing this shit around trying to find a fucking flavor. Yeah. We're not looking for a chaser.
I'm not looking to wash it away.
Never.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Is I think, okay, you know what a pickleback's great for? Some shit that was terrible to drink. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I would use
like
it for.
I'm like, oh, this is so bad. And then I'm like, okay. Well, I don't think that's where we're at, right? Like I think we're drinking something better. That's the vibe, right? Like that's the person that I want to kind of
recommend
show,
the smooth.
Hey, there's
drink.
something else you can drink. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I imagine there's that world for vodka. To me, it's like, and like one of my good friends loves vodka. She was actually on here before, but and I'm always just like, it's trash. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like it. They all taste the same to me. But I think if again, I don't know nothing about it. I don't care about it. So whiskey, that's why I'm saying that's my thing.
You know what I picture? I picture like a good scenario would be for us. Let's just say we went to a Christmas party, right? A family Christmas party.
Yeah.
And you just showed up with a good selection of whiskey.
Yeah.
And you left it there. Boom. You don't have to, you don't have to drink that night, but you left it there.
Oh, I'm gonna drink it.
Yeah, and we probably would.
Yeah,
like specifically for one of my cousins, which I love. Imagine if I showed up with a bottle of whiskey that I really highly recommended, and I left it for her and her husband to drink. And they texted me later and was like, "Damn, that was smooth." Wow. That to me would be a perfect little drop to be the guy who just drops off like great whiskey for you.
Yeah.
We should start that.
I was gonna say, you've inspired me.
You know, just start doing that.
So usually, okay, so people that I know that drink, right? Like, and I don't mean like every once in a fucking blue moon. Like, you know, like, so let's say my sister, not a drinker, right? And I'm nothing against it. Don't do it if you don't want to do it. If you don't like to drink, don't fucking drink. However, if she wanted to drink, I'd be overjoyed to be like, can I make a recommendation? But as I mentioned earlier, my family's not big into it. But I usually, and I don't know if they all know this, but they will now. Let's say they usually do like a Christmas party. And I usually show up and I hang out for a while and I'm like, all right, I got to go to the car. I go to the car. I usually have a little bottle in the car. A few select people there know that I do this, and they'll see me walk outside, and I'll see one come out and another come out, and because I'm out there playing music and I'm in the zone. Hey, you know what I mean?
Just so you know, before you finish, that's a goddamn tradition.
Yeah, it is.
Just so you know,
I love it.
That is sacred.
And I haven't. So obviously, this is new to this year for the most part, doing the podcast and understanding these different whiskeys, right? And none of them, they drink beer, but they drink like shit beer. And so I'm fuck off. I don't want to drink this. You drink 211 still, dude? Mickey's? No, thank you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not 17 anymore. And I don't want to do that. Anyway, I'm excited though. And like I said, like I'd like to get like my dad or somebody, you know what I mean? Like who will drink once in a while. And great. I'm not asking you to step it up. I'm asking you to step up the game of what you're drinking. But I instead of going to the car, you know what I mean? Because like I said, normally they don't, and I don't. I've been around a lot of different families, and some families are very like, oh, we're pouring up, you know what I mean? And that's usually where I'm like, yes. And then there's the other ones, like mine, which is nothing's wrong with it. Like, I like that they have a good time without doing any of that. I think that's a fucking great quality. I'm just sitting there like, you know what I mean? I'm going to the car. You know what I mean? But I'm just going to bring it in. I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to bring it in. Anybody that's interested, we're all adults here. Anybody that's interested, it's on the table.
Here you go.
You know what I mean? And I'm literally going to look right at my father. Sir, you in or you out? Hopefully he's like, let me try it. So, Dad, it's coming. It's fucking November 5th, dude, okay? It ain't too far. That's my boy's birthday. Hey, shout out my boy Josh. Today's his birthday. I didn't realize it till right now. Josh, happy fucking birthday, my man.
Happy fucking birthday.
Yeah, dude. Happy birthday, dude. I know he follows Instagram. Don't know if he listens to it, but hey, shout out to my boy, man. I rolled with that dude for a long time, for fucking years. Just kick it with him every goddamn day. We used to drink.
Happy birthday.
We used to drink Stater Brothers brand alcohol. That's where I came from. Okay, dude. Me, him, and my other boy at the time, man. We used to drink Stater Brothers fucking brand alcohol and mix it with Kool-Aid. Okay, dude. 'Cause it was terrible, dude. Yeah. Shout out to this. Shout out to you, man. Happy birthday. I hope you're doing something dope today. Fuck. I wish I would have known. I wish I would have remembered earlier. I would have hit you up. You know what I mean?
A little text.
Yeah, a little something. Dude.
Something.
But anyway, so James, what is your guilty pleasure, if you would?
Well, I wouldn't say guilty pleasure. I think after thinking about it a little bit more,
You said it earlier. So,
I did say it
fuck
earlier.
me for.
I did say it earlier. I think, to be quite honest with everybody, my dad died when I was 11 years old. And since then, I've always been somewhat of a real strong man character, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
just an individual who was always like you couldn't attack me as a person ever in my life, really. So as life has gone on, people won't necessarily tell me certain things. They won't approach me in certain areas, right?
What?
No, they just won't approach me in
I
certain
tell
things.
you everything.
Yeah, no, but I mean, no, not like that though. But I mean, like, they wouldn't tell me like, "Hey, you shouldn't do this."
I tell you that.
But I will say that one of the areas in my life, probably the last maybe 9 years,
Mm-hmm.
9 years or so, I got into the whole spiritual journey, spiritual side of things.
Yeah, you did.
And that's really one of the biggest things in my life that has had extreme criticism from family and friends.
Well, can you elaborate on what you mean when you say spiritual, so that everybody understands?
Well, I mean, I don't attribute it to like anything religious, but
Mm-hmm.
just the way of looking at life and how things have gone. When I turned 23 years old, no, 22, 23 years old, I kind of started looking at the world differently. Not how I was raised, right?
Mhm.
So I was raised Catholic. I was forced to go to church when I was younger. I didn't really believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't believe in God, but
Mm-hmm.
I kind of went down the spiritual path where like I saw situations differently. I saw life situations differently. And I will say that sometimes when I'm talking about a certain subject, people are like, dude, that's like like even like positive thinking. That's not really religious. So like if I'm talking to my mom, she's like, what about God? You give thanks to God? I'm like, well, it's just the way that things are unfolding. It's just good shit happening.
Yeah. Okay.
She's like, isn't that a blessing? So for me, it's what I'm saying is my thing that I'm criticized for is maybe the whole spiritual thing. And I know at times I've recommended books
Mhm.
from gurus and
Yeah. I've criticized.
yeah,
you
and
about it a
you
little bit,
criticize
yeah.
me. But I think that heavy into my early 20s up until now, I've lived by that. And I know Ken has called me a closed book at times.
I have.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I can't explain this shit sometimes. So like, let's just say I'm talking to Ken about a certain subject. I may not be able to really get fully into it because once the source is known, he's out. He's like,
Well,
oh, you're getting that from
that's
some
a
kind
good
of
point. Yeah.
guru. Like Ken's done with it.
Well,
So I will say that that's one of the things in my life that I've had that's criticized.
well, let me ask you this, James. Okay.
And I feel like I described that terribly, but go ahead.
No. That's why I want to like kind of dive into it a little bit, if that's okay. So let me ask you this. So when you say like a guru, what does that mean, right? Because even me sitting here right here next to you, like we've talked about this, and I think initially, yeah, I would kind of just immediately, I think I was a little more closed minded, but in an attempt to try to be open to it and understanding, what is it? What does that mean when you say guru?
Why I think the origins of guru is, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's the expeller of darkness, someone who can push away the darkness of whatever it is.
I want to say Harry Potter.
So
so
well, no,
fucked up. So
and
fucked up.
I imagine a lot of people listening might think love guru,
Yeah, I do.
right?
Yeah,
but I think the actual root of guru is the expeller of darkness, someone who can push that away, right?
And
But even explaining that, that's not typical.
Well, it depends on how you want to look at it, right? Like even so, sitting here now, you say that, and to me, that's kind of powerful, right? Like, okay, the expeller of darkness, and I'm looking at like dark vibes, dark
thoughts.
Dark thoughts, dark necessarily. I mean, dark kind of corresponding to negativity, right? So I'm getting rid of negative vibes, negative perspectives, negative fucking attitudes, all of that shit, and then that's the way I took it when you said it right here, right now,
Right.
which is a good thing. I think that's which I think religion probably corresponds to in a lot of ways for a lot of people.
Well, I think a lot of it's rooted in the same thing.
Yeah, I think so. I could understand. I think that's why I've pushed it away.
Yeah, and so have I. You know, but like let's just say, for instance, I'm talking to somebody about relationships.
Yep.
And I'm utilizing some of those things I've learned through this method. They're generally receptive.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to keep the source.
You have to
tucked away a little bit.
You have to gear it towards your audience.
True, but I also have to keep the source away.
Well, that's what I mean. So if you know your audience doesn't like the source, you gear it towards your audience.
Right.
So me being your audience a lot of times, this has happened. But you know what? And I think that's one of the essential things in life, right? Like, and I think hearing that, I think it should only back what you're doing then and why you think what you think, because then it's as long as I didn't tell you where I got it from and what my train of thought is in getting it here, the message stayed the same.
Right.
And however, though, now look at you receptive to it because you don't know where it came. And it only shows that the audience was only hating because they didn't, even if it's me, and I'd be the first to admit, I'll do that. You know what I mean? Like, well, I tell you all the time, this spiritual shit. I think in early episodes, I used to call it spiritual guy. Yeah, which I don't think is a bad thing. I actually applaud you for it. I think it's interesting, and I like having you there because of it.
Yeah.
But I get your perspective on the religion aspect of it, especially both of us coming from families, I think, who are heavily, it sounds from what you're saying, at least they're heavily guided by, or their thought process, I'd say, is guided by religion.
Right.
And then you knowing that, like you said, like, oh, you should thank God. And I'm always me, and it sounds like you as well. I'm like, no. I fucking did this.
Yeah.
Like I did this. Like, nope. Okay, you know. I'll let this wrap up. Can I jot something down, because I'd like to come to something, but I don't also want to interrupt you. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I just feel like in my life I have, I talk to individuals, and even down to my nature of like, oh, you're easygoing. Well, part of that is just the way I believe in certain things. And people ask me, are you religious? No, I'm not. And I don't want to say I'm full spiritual. I don't want to put labels on shit. But it's like, if I had to guess, like if I had to pick a subject that I have been criticized for, I've had friends where I've been talking and maybe not on this podcast, but I've been in situations where I feel like I'm just talking and very influential.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had friends tell me, hey, I don't care what you're talking about right now. I'm not going to they were kind of like put off by it. Like, hey, you're not going to convince me of any of this shit. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm not trying to. It may make sense. It may scare you. But the thinking behind it is not necessarily, I'm not trying to do that. It's just some of the shit just makes sense to me.
Yeah, no, I get your point. I've had conversations too where, well, check my grammar, but
oh, you forgot the punctuation.
Yeah, punctuation. Look at if I correct me on that. But no, man, the fucked up thing with me is like when I'm sitting there talking to someone and I think like I'm trying to get, and I don't want to change anyone's mind ever. Like if your mind, you have your decision, you make your mind. I've never tried to tell you like, oh, you're wrong. You're into the spirituality. I've never told you like, oh, it's bullshit. I just told you I didn't want to. That wasn't for me.
Well, I do. I'm a half a salesman. But
why?
But here's the difference. Once I realize I'm not going to sell you on the car, so you're not good to me.
No, that's not your perspective. Because then, look, you just said yourself, you'll take the spirituality, and if you realize, so let's use me as an example here. So you realize you're talking to me, and I'm not receptive to it, then you just take that perspective out of it and change your approach to it. And the same guidelines are there and the same guiding principles. However, your pitch is different.
Yeah, but it's all rooted in like helping.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I'll use religion when I have to.
So maybe if you're saying like it's if someone's not at all receptive to anything, or are you identify? So it's either that or you identify what is the barrier there, and then if you could keep the same message and remove the barrier, then you'll do it.
Yeah, the barrier is always going to be there. For majority of adults, the barrier is always going to be there. So it's not so much that. I'm looking for somebody who needs help.
Who wants help? It sounds like
who
needs help, and then I don't want to hear what you have to say.
No,
then there's
For me, I'm only looking for those who need help. Not who wants help. People who want help generally find help. Who needs help? So if I see you need help, there's an approach there.
What's the difference? Just for the listeners, what's the difference between needs and wants?
Generally, someone who needs or wants anything is going to find a means.
No, I think absolutely. I would disagree with you 100%. Everybody wants to be rich.
No.
Few people fucking actually are like, I'm going to pursue actually doing it.
When you talk about riches, most people don't need to be rich.
Nobody really needs to be rich,
right.
But everybody damn near wants to.
So give me a new one.
Okay, let's say.
Give me a new one.
I want to be.
Let's just say your marriage is failing.
Okay,
what do you need or want that to work? What is it?
It's a want. So I don't think anybody needs their marriage to work.
You don't think people need?
I don't think you need it to work. No. Will you survive without it? Yeah, probably.
So if your wife is done with you,
I've been there,
and you're not, and you're not done, do you want or need it to work?
You want it to, because so when you say a need to me is something that's essential for your life to continue.
Yeah,
but do I need to eat? Yes,
but most people don't deal with that at that
yeah,
level.
that's perspective though. But the reality of what it is needs and wants are very different things.
So let's just say your wife wants to leave you. She's done with you. You want to give your children a steady house with the husband and wife. Now, do you need that to work for your kids, or do you want it to work for your wife?
You already answered the question. You said you want that.
No,
you don't need it.
What I'm saying is, when let's just say there's kids involved.
Yeah, but you still don't need it.
Do you want it to work?
Can kids grow up in a household where that wasn't the case?
They can, but I'm talking about see, a lot of this comes down to individuality. Do you want or need things in life? Do you want a promotion? Or do you need a promotion right now? What do you want?
I want it.
Oh, so you want it.
Yeah.
So it's not a necessity.
No, life
So
will
if
go
you don't
on.
get it, life goes on.
What's your definition of a need? I guess
no,
maybe
I'm saying,
that's the way
So
to
if you don't get
start
it, what happens?
Life goes on.
Are you okay with that?
If I can be okay or not, life will go on. That's what I'm saying.
But most people don't want to live with the consequence of that happening.
Well, then you don't want to live with it.
But you need it to happen, right?
I don't need it to happen, no.
No, but if it doesn't happen, then what happens from there?
Get better. Don't ask me these things. I'm not the guy to ask.
But if it doesn't happen, then what happens there?
Well, I mean, I guess eventually I would probably seek some employment elsewhere.
Would you?
Would I? What are you asking me to?
No, would you seek further employment, or would you just settle?
If I got to the point of being fed up, then yeah, I would. If I was absolutely fed up with it, then absolutely I would. Absolutely. That's the point, though. What's the point of absolutely being fed up and now I need to do something else? I am absolutely fed up, and it would be affecting me in that regard. My work would be affected. My mentality would be affected. All of these things would transpire, and now that need becomes that want becomes a need because I can no longer. If I felt, and this is how I would approach the situation you said. I would take every measure I could to get it because it's a want. So if I want it, how do I get there, right? I talked to you about wants before. Hey, I want to open a brewery. Well, what are you doing to get there? What is the first step? Are you doing these things? Right now, do I need it? No. But if I wanted it, I understand there's steps I need to take to get there. And now if I'm doing these steps and I go to my boss and I go to that boss and I'm saying, hey, these are the steps and you giving me, and then I knock them all out, every fucking thing you gave me, and then you don't do it, now I'm pissed off. Do I need to leave? No. Not necessarily. Will life go on? Sure. But will every piece of me want to leave? You're goddamn right.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. And just to wrap that part up, I think you're right. But the initial question is, what distinguishes someone who wants or needs something? Usually, and I'll just stay away from the technicalities of the conversation.
Yeah, because this is gonna be
because we don't know. We don't even know where we are.
Yeah.
We're stuck in the weeds.
Yeah.
But what I will
Fair point.
what I will say is that people who want things in life generally are the ones seeking things.
Fair
the
point.
people who need things aren't the ones.
I get what you're getting
So
at.
what I'm saying is that people who approach me typically want things. They don't need them,
Okay.
but they want them.
Can I say this? Because I think it's to your point. If people that want help don't really need help at that point, I think.
They kind of do.
I think okay.
They're more eager to help.
They do, but it's a different vibe. I think a lot of times people that need help, and maybe I'm totally fucking off base here, but I think when you need help, a lot of people have recessed back into like a reclusive state. And those are the people that need the help, but don't necessarily maybe know how to seek the help, don't know how to go about getting, you know what I mean, presenting it, how to explain it.
Well, take a drug addict.
Yeah, great example.
So take a drug addict. So a drug addict
doesn't want help, or maybe does, but doesn't.
But no, the ones who want help are the ones who understand. I need to fix something, get better. I need to do different things.
But even then,
the people who need help are generally the people who you look at and you're like, damn, you need help. Like,
so you're saying. I don't know. Why we're getting so deep into this question.
I don't know
why
either.
It's a great question.
You asked me.
I know, because I'm curious.
And so I'm only going off of what you're asking me. So off of the people in my life, only from the beginning of my journey till now, the people who have wanted help are the people who receive the help. The people who need help,
who are recessive to the help, who are willing to
the people who really need it are the people I look at, or people have looked at and gone, damn, they kind of need something. Like, to me, it's always been, something that they need you to step in.
Are you cognizant of the problem?
And we've gone so far off of the fucking topic.
I know, but it's interesting. I'm interested in this conversation.
And for the most part, I guess what I'm saying is that in my life, I've always played between the two, because I've overextended myself with people who needed it, but I shouldn't have done it because they weren't ready for it.
Because you can need something, but you don't want it. I think maybe that's what you were getting at, or maybe that's something to take away.
I don't know what to take away.
I mean, because I think, like you said, a drug addict who's bad needs help, but if they don't want the help, you're wasting your time trying to help them. Right? Like you are. They're gonna sit there and tell you whatever you think that they think you want to hear, so they could go get fucking drugs. You know what I mean? Like that's the reality of it. But they didn't want the help.
Yeah.
But they're the ones who need the fucking help, right? And now we've gone
so far off.
Yeah.
But just to take it back to where it was. In my life, I've been criticized for my views on things, my beliefs on certain things. They're not traditional. They're not rooted in anything.
American tradition.
Yeah, but they're not even. I'm not Buddhist. I'm not rooted in Eastern culture. All I'm saying is that I take in multiple different things, and when I could sit there and talk with someone who believes in God, and I'm like, you're wrong. Like.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do.
And that's just me, right?
Yeah.
But none of us are perfect. But I've been criticized for that. That's kind of my thing. Look, I believe differently. So you see a situation, to me, if it has no relevance, no significance, I'm like, why the fuck are you bothered? But that's because I believe that those things shouldn't matter to you.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. That's where I can be criticized for things that maybe people tell me like, damn, why do you even think that way? It's a thought process that goes through my head. So sometimes my thought process is the thing I'm criticized for. Just like you said with your drinking, you're criticized for it, but it's different. There's something else there
Well, I think at the end of the day, however you think has made you the person you are, and I think you're okay with the person you are, right?
every day.
Yeah. So same with me, right? Like, and I think so. Both situations can be viewed negatively, but that's that outside perspective that's viewing it that way. And I think it takes a lot to be able to say like, yeah, I don't give a fuck, but I can relate to you in the religion aspect, right? Like my best friend's family is highly religious, right? And for a long time, I remember being like, I don't even want to tell my best friend like I don't believe in this shit, like I didn't. And then one day I told him, and he was like, I don't. It's okay. And he's still to this day. He's so hopeful that I'm gonna come around. And I was telling him like, brother, it ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like, I know more about God and the Bible and all this shit than you'll ever understand. I think. Like I was raised this way. I know it. It's just not where I'm gonna go though. And that's my own personal decision. And I've never really put it out in a public format like this, and I'm a little kind of fucking worried about it. But I'll stand by what I'm doing.
I think the turning point for me was I went to a church retreat with my ex's brother.
Oh, yeah.
We went somewhere in the mountains. There was cabins and stuff like that, and it was all men. It was a men's retreat.
Was this Catholic or
It was Christian.
okay?
It was a men's retreat.
Making a joke, but
and I was 20 something years old. I went up there, and yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I went up there. They had their service. They broke into small groups, and I'm sitting there with people. Obviously, if you're at a men's church retreat, a lot of the people there are just hardcore Christians, just hardcore Christian people. And I went there, and I remember sitting with a group of individuals, and they were like, "Does anybody else have something to say?" And it had nothing to do with anything. I just told them straight out. I said, "Hey," I just told them straight out. I was like, "I'm not sure I believe in God." I was in a small group of people. I was like, "Hey, I'm just not sure I believe in God." They're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, I'm kind of on the edge. I don't. Sometimes I believe, sometimes I don't. Yeah, I'm 20 something years old. I don't fucking know, but I'm just telling you right now, as I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm not sure I believe in God." All of a sudden, the dude sitting across from me was like, "I feel the same way," and the dude next to him was like, "Yeah, I don't know." All of a sudden, the talk goes on, right? But sometimes it comes down to just speaking your mind.
yeah,
And that to me was a turning point. The point where I realized that you can say something respectively, and it's not, I'm not offending you. That's where I understood, like, okay, I'm good.
I admire that.
I'm good because I was raised Catholic. I mean, I was forced to go to church, but at that point, I understood where I was, how I can express myself.
Yeah, I respect that in a great amount. The fact that you had the courage to stand up and say something in a setting that typically that wouldn't have been acceptable. And again, I think we've kind of gone on a riff here, but
Way off.
We sound like Kanye West just on the Joe Rogan podcast. Just fucking, what are you talking about?
I don't listen to that shit.
Oh, I listened to that one. I listened to like
I will never
45
I will
minutes.
never listen to Kanye's.
Can I tell you this? I listened to like
rants.
45 minutes and I was like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it was just so much.
I actually lost respect for Joe Rogan.
You know what? Can I say this? I've never seen Joe Rogan so quiet. And I was just like, what?
No, I saw a clip where Joe Rogan was like, "Well, that's actually a good way of looking at it." And I thought, you piece of shit.
Yeah, no, he called him out on Kanye was basically he was talking about like Los Angeles, and it was like it stands for Lost Angels, and then Joe Rogan was like, no, it stands for like the Angels. You know what I mean? The Angels, James. LA is the city of the angels, angels of Anaheim, it all makes
Bullshit.
sense. Okay. But no, the point I'm trying to make was like, I was just like, the whole time, and I was just like, hey, really, dude? Like, I expect more from you
At the
than
point at the
this.
point where the Joe Rogan Kanye West episode was supposed to happen, like 2 years ago, I would have been more receptive. The fact that Joe Rogan let him come on after his episodes, his multiple episodes, dealing with his
Well, he
mental
talked to him
illness.
about that.
Yeah, but the fact that he took him at any point and just let him, like you're talking about, people have always dealt with certain things and they've been like, well, I can't go on that show because of the host.
Yeah.
The host is not going to let me get away with this. The fact that Joe Rogan sat there and let him
I
let him
wonder.
spit out like that.
I wonder if there was some agreement ahead of time to get him to do that. I mean, because from a Joe Rogan perspective, and even like I'll say right now, like if tomorrow Kanye West wrote me a message like, "Yo, I want to be on your podcast," I'm like, James, we got to do this.
Oh, and we would.
Yeah,
But
but I also think that comes with an agreement. We think we would because we'd be like, "You're talking about a bunch of bullshit right now, right?" And so to me, the question would be, would I want to do it if I couldn't do that? Like if I couldn't question, you know me, everything about me is to ask questions. Everything we just talked about, this whole every time we talk about, you've talked to me about the spirituality things, and I just want to ask you questions about it. You know what I mean? I don't think you've ever thought I was just like, fuck you. I have kind of told you later, like it's not for me, so let's just drop it, right? But the same, it's just I don't want to be disrespectful, but at the same time, if somebody was here and they're trying to convince me of something and you don't allow me to question it, then you'll never convince me of it. Like, cause now that was my issue with like religion based shit. Like, I just need to have faith. That's not a fucking answer to me. And Kanye was basically saying that. He said that directly. Something you just have to have faith in. And I'm like, yeah, maybe, but why? You know what I mean? Like, I need more info, dude. Like, I don't accept that. If that's the case, then Chris Angel and David Blaine are gods. You know what I mean? Like, they're doing shit all the time. I guess I should just accept it. But no, I'm glad I brought that up because yeah, I if you didn't listen, and any of you guys that did, I thought I was like, Joe. And then look, he had Alex Jones on after that, and Alex Jones is extremely controversial. He's kind of the guy that goes out and tries to exploit things. And okay, and I was very anti Alex Jones going into this thing, and I thought, oh, this would be funny to hear because Alex Jones is the guy that says like in whatever city. They're putting shit in the water that's making frogs gay. And I was like, come on, dog. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here? But I used to watch this show because, again, I'm always okay with hearing the other side. I think everyone needs to be. I think that was one of my truths before. Because you need to understand the other side of something before you want to weigh in. If you don't, then you're a fucking idiot in my book. So I listened to him, let me hear your side of it. And there's another show, The Young Turks, was totally opposite of him, and I used to listen to both sides. Like I really think it's important to kind of try to gather information from all parties. Anyway, but Joe Rogan kept questioning him, kept like, "Hey," and young Jamie's there, and he's like, "Let's fact check that right now," and like that, and it made me. It was I like listening to Joe Rogan because I think it's inspirational on how to kind of improve our podcast here in a lot of aspects. Whether it's positive from him or negative from him. But the Kanye West one, I was like, nah, fuck that. I wouldn't have agreed to do it. I'd rather not have you on the show than to sit there and just be quiet while you just rant about shit that makes no sense.
Yeah.
I'm good. And I don't give a fuck. If he has a mental illness, okay. I'm not making fun of him for it. I'm not talking shit. I'm simply saying then stop going on fucking radio shows, dude. And if you are, then be receptive to needing help. You know what I'm saying? Because now you become the person that needs help, but you don't want help. And I'm not saying even like a medical help, like in a sense of like I take some fucking drugs. I'm just saying you need to get around some people, some actual people that fucking care about you and listen to what they have to say.
Yeah.
That's the difference in what I'm saying. And I'm no expert. I'll never act like I am. I'm simply talking about I live my life and I have my own issues, and James, you have your own issues, and everybody in the world does. And we all have to learn how to deal with those. And if you don't, because you have a bunch of people around you, or whatever your reason is, whatever the fuck your reason is for you not, that's your problem.
Yeah.
Then you live with that. I'm not gonna fucking feel bad for you for it, and I never will. You know what I mean? If I go out and act like a fucking fool, I gotta live with that tomorrow. You know what I mean? That's just the reality of what the fuck I gotta do. And I think everyone should be held accountable. I think people aren't held enough accountable for their shit they do. Let's find an excuse for it. Fuck that. I know. James, have I ever come to you and ever in my life asked you for an excuse about some shit I've done?
No.
No, I'm harder on me than most people would. I think you're the same with you. You know what I mean? But that's how I want to get better. That's how you get better, is by, let me evaluate what I did and how am I going to get better.
Right.
But whatever, man. Let's move to a lighter topic. So you're at work, whatever, you gotta take a shit. You know what I mean? You gotta take a shit, but your work bathroom, let's say there's 3 stalls in there. You go in there, and if you're like me, you evaluate the situation. You walk in, you look around, no one's here. Cool, I'm in the clear. I'm gonna go take the Browns to the Super Bowl, take the kids to the pool. I gotta do what I gotta do. So, you walk in the bathroom. You've evaluated it. Looks like it's good. If you're like me,
You done your recon?
if you're like me, you're like, I don't want nobody in here. You know what I mean? I'm very solo. As James mentioned earlier, not in this particular, you guys didn't hear it, but we talked about this a little bit before. But you're at home and you're alone. No one's in there with you. It's your time. You do your thing. When I was a kid, my dad used to be like, "That's your throne. That's your thinking time." You know what I mean? So you go in there, you doing your business. Somebody comes in. Let's say they sit down in the stall next to you. And then they want to ask you some questions. And you're like, well, wait a goddamn minute. Number one, I was uncomfortable the time the door opened. Okay? I didn't like this anymore. I was happy. It was just me. I was alone. And now you're here. Please don't talk to me. And I'll give you a little background. Today I'm at work. You know what I mean? The kids were like, "Dad, take us to the pool." And I was like, well, if you want to go to the pool, you want to swim, who am I to deny you of that? So I walk in, and then about 3-4 minutes later, I hear the door open. And I'm like, God damn it. I'm sitting there, now super uncomfortable. I get a text message, and the text message reads, "I know that's you."
That's some scary movie shit right there.
And I literally was like, "Oh my God." And it made me laugh. I couldn't help it. I just started laughing. I was like, holy shit. But I'm being very laughing to myself, I don't even want to confirm that it's me. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, how did you know? And then, I said, "This is weird. Please leave me alone." You know what I mean? And then that turned into, I just couldn't help but laugh. And now here we are talking. And I hated the entire experience.
Like Ken was saying though, going to the bathroom has been an individual experience.
It's a personal thing.
And it always has been.
It should be.
It generally has been, right? So it's like you said, your dad said that's your thinking time, that's your throne. Shut the door. You're on your own. I want to know, because I feel the same way as you. I don't want no one even in there.
Yeah.
And if you are, if you got to take a piss and I'm in there.
Yeah. Leave me the fuck alone.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Hurry up. Get out.
Yeah.
Get out. And,
yeah.
And I hate when there's a double toilet in place, because it makes me feel like, damn, someone could come in here and just be next to me. And it makes me, and I'm not saying that it's the weirdest thing in the world, because it's just a shitter.
Yeah. I mean, I could do it.
But I kind of want to know too, do girls deal with that too? Because there's all
girls
toilets.
Are always in the stall.
It's all toilets.
But okay, peeing is one thing. I could stand in the urinal. I think I've even mentioned it here before. I went to take a piss one day. I'm at the urinal, and some dude's talking to me, and I look over, he's talking, and I was like, "Hey, come on, dude." And then we locked eyes, and I was like, "Hey, dude, this is weird as fuck for me. Why? I don't want to look you in the eyes. I'm fucking holding my penis, dog. You know what I'm saying? It's weird, And it is what it is there, I don't care for it. I could talk to you if I'm peeing, But you stay your way, I'll stay mine, and we do our own thing. And I'm very like, I used to be very bathroom shy. And I've seen episodes on TV of different shows, and it's like you go in there and a dude stands next to you, and I'm like, well, I can't fucking piss now. I wish you weren't standing here. I got over that. Go to jail. You know what I mean? That'll fucking clear that up. All right, but I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
And you know, we had decided to let Anthony off the hook a little bit earlier this episode.
Yeah, but
but I do want to give a story that he told us recently. And I don't know if this comes with age, but he said he was driving down the 71 freeway, and
so specific.
he had to take a shit.
Yeah.
And so he didn't think he was gonna make it home. And for me, I always feel like I'm gonna make it.
I'm going to
make it.
The worst part is once you hit your exit, it's like the worst shit because you know you're close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so he texted his wife and said, "Hey, is your uncle home?" Her uncle apparently lived off the 71, and I'm telling you straight out right now, I would never be someone who's like, "Hey, call your uncle. I gotta take a shit," because I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to show up, park, get there, and be like, "Hey, I can't talk. I gotta go take a shit."
Yeah.
So like,
that is shit, and then I want to leave right after I'm done. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, thank you, I'm out.
There's a very select few amount of people.
Yeah,
that would happen with me.
So I just think it's funny that you can get to that point. I could never get there.
Let me tell you this. So not too long ago, I was going to my sister's house, and I'm like, "Yo, you know what? I wanted to try this place, the sandwich shop out." So I was like, "Yo, hey, before I come, you hungry?" She's like, "Yeah, I'll take a sandwich. Give me whatever you get." I get her something that I wanted to try, not what I got. So I wanted to try them both. You know what I mean? So I get there, whatever. I eat mine. I'm sitting there, and then I'm like, "Oh, and I tell her like, "Yo, I gotta use your bathroom." She had a 3-story place, right? It's just 3 stories, son. The first story, there's a bedroom and a bathroom. Second story is like the kick it area. Third story is where the bedrooms are. So I'm like, "Yo, I gotta go." You know, she's like, "Go downstairs." I'm like, yeah. That's where I want to be. And she goes, "Well, and so, hey, if you guys are listening to this, Ryan, I do apologize." You know what I mean?
Clogged this shit.
But no, she's like, yeah, go downstairs. All right. I go, she's like, "There's spray. Please use it and understand." He knows every aspect of that bathroom. So don't you fuck it up. And I was like, "Oh no, I'm on it. I'll be meticulous in what I do here." And so I do. I make sure everything's in line. But I thought I was comfortable because I was on another level of the house, but also very uncomfortable because I knew I'd be scrutinized. You know what I mean? And nobody wants that, you know? Nobody really wants to feel like, hey, someone's going to come in here after you and see what you did. And how did you do it? You know what I mean? I don't like it. You know?
What kind of animal are you?
Yeah, the fuck is going on with you? And, so just things like that. But please don't talk to me while I'm in there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to act. It seems weird. It's not a social setting.
Have some common courtesy.
Yeah, it's not a social setting. It made me laugh to get the text message today. Like, I know that's you. I couldn't help it. You know what I mean? It was so funny to me. But also, leave me the fuck alone. You know? Like, I literally was sitting there like, can you, like, it's funny and I don't mind it. But come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, and like, again, I'm always curious about the flip side. The female perspective. Because it's like, we talked about it earlier. When I'm pissing and someone's in the shitter, I feel weird.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm in and out.
I'm bothering
dude.
you.
I'm in and out.
Yeah, and I don't like when you're wrapping it up as I'm pissing because I'm in.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry, I'm gonna leave right now.
Yeah.
Keep it cool.
I'm here 3 minutes tops. You know what I mean?
Keep it cool. You don't gotta come out and wash your hands with me.
Yeah.
Like, just stay there.
And because James, we said, like, I'll wait. If I'm the guy in the shitter, I'll wait until you've exited the building.
I don't want to see you.
Yeah. I don't want you to know who was in here. I don't want to have any conversation about it. I don't want to fucking do it, you know?
Do girls deal with that?
You know, my question is this, James. They probably do, but bigger question. why do these when I go in there and you feel like you could just walk out, or you have no, you know what I mean, no common courtesy, you just feel like let's have a conversation. Why are you like this? What happened to make you like this? Where did you get that I don't give a shit mentality?
It must be in the military.
I think military would help.
Yeah.
Jail, military. I think these things will get you in the zone where you're like, I don't give a fuck. I'm shit in front of a room with 16 people in it. Fuck do I care?
Yeah.
That's not a common thing, man. Have some common understanding that most people haven't done it.
Yeah. Have some goddamn dignity.
But yeah, you know what's funny? I know you guys, anybody out there, James, you yourself, watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, but Larry David is one funny fucking guy, and he has a whole episode about like, hey, this is my bathroom, stay the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and also the mentality of I'd rather go home, because I'd rather go home. You know what I mean? If I'm doing this at work, this is out of pure necessity. This is not desire. I don't want to do it.
Stay the fuck away.
Yeah. So please leave me alone. I don't want to do it anyway. I definitely don't want to talk to you while I'm doing it. I don't want you in the fucking room. I wish if I can, I'm like my boy Anthony, you know.
Anthony,
can I hold this down? I'd like everybody to leave the entire building before I do this. Okay. I'd prefer that. Like I said, man, I'll call myself a shy guy in that regard. I don't like it.
Me too. It's really the only aspect that I can be like, I'm a little bitch when it comes to shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like
I don't want you. I don't need I don't need the conversation. Let me look at my phone. I'm going to sit here, which I think is lucky now. I remember as a kid, I used to be like, oh, I'm going to read the shampoo bottle. You know what I mean? What are the ingredients in this thing? You know, so I'm glad we have cell phones, because that makes, and you know what? Are there people out there that just go? You know what I mean? Like I need a distraction. Give me a phone. Let me do something, whatever that may be. And I'm also the guy that's like, well, let me turn the sink on. You know, if there's people in close proximity, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's a courtesy kind of thing to do.
I'm the kind of guy that walks into a bathroom and I'm like, this was terribly designed. Why would you have one shitter in this whole building? I started being real like civil engineer like minded, like what were you thinking?
You know, there's a rule in a workplace that per so many people you have to have a bathroom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you have to have so many actual toilets, and if there's a men's, you have to have so many urinals per people in that building.
So maybe we'll get ours remodeled.
Well, the more that come over there.
There's more that are showing up.
Technically, I think there's loopholes. Yeah, there's loopholes to everything. And imagine they've found the loophole. You know what I mean? Because clearly, we could use more.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Right? I wish I could just lock the main door. You know what I mean? Like, nope. Sorry.
You're more likely to find me in the lockable door.
Yeah, same.
Than anywhere else.
Same, right? But even in that aspect. And then where we're at now, it's lockable door, but then you walk out and people will be standing there, and I'm like, oh, God fucking damn it.
Right there.
Yeah, like directly in your face. And there's no, no, it's just me.
There's no elevator music playing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and now you're locked in. Yeah. And I don't like it. So I'd like to know what you guys think about that. Are you guys just public shitters? And if you are, why? What's wrong with you?
Or if that's your life, God bless you.
It must be nice to not think about these things. Yeah. I can't help it. Like, I hate like that hearing that door open. I'm just like, oh, God damn it, just come in and go. You know.
And real quick, if I can tell you guys real quick about my double shitter fucking scenario when there's two shitters.
Yeah.
Number one. Again, I've already stated that going to the bathroom has always been an individual thing. I don't want to hear you getting the toilet paper and fucking wiping yourself. Like, there's no music in there ever. I don't want to be there as you're taking care of your business. Like, it's uncomfortable. And if you don't give a fuck, that's cool. I care.
Yeah.
I care.
Be considerate for those around you.
You know what I mean? I hate when that roll starts going because I know what's happening next, and it makes me extremely uncomfortable.
Hey, you're touching your asshole. Okay, dude. It's weird.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear it. I don't need to.
But you know what's more disturbing when you hear like that one roll and then one wipe and then they're gone.
And then they're out.
I'm like, you cannot possibly be done.
And then the people that don't wash their hands.
Oh yeah.
So I hear them leave and then they just walked out. I'm like, I didn't hear any soap dispenser go off. I didn't hear you definitely didn't get no paper towels. That's disgusting. Okay, that's fucking disgusting.
Wash your goddamn hands, guys.
Hey guys, and people say pandemic times. I'm like, every day. I don't give a fuck what that means. Nothing to me. Wash your fucking hands.
Wash your hands, and maybe we'll have Anthony do a demonstration on our YouTube.
Anthony's a great hand washer.
To properly wash your hands, because he gives himself a lot of credit, and I believe it.
Oh no, yeah.
I've
seen him wash his hands.
And if I'm not mistaken, today he said in 10 seconds he can he can do
what people do in 2 minutes.
Yeah. So you guys wash your fucking hands.
And I'll say this: I go to lunch with Anthony often, and Anthony every time before he eats is like, "Nope, I gotta wash." And it makes me like, "Well, I guess I gotta wash mine now." You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna basically feel like he's calling me out.
I don't.
Yeah, no, I do because I feel like fuck. He's gonna you sick fuck. And so I'm like, yeah, I guess I should. I'm hanging out with him anyway. No, but he'll use the sanitizer all the time, and I'm like, no. It's funny because we went to breakfast, and me and Anthony, I'm like, let's eat light, and he's like, all right. And so I got some hard boiled eggs, and I was like, yeah. And I see him over there. Number one, sanitize and all this, and he's using a fork. He's eating a fucking hard-boiled egg with a fork, okay? And I look at him, and I don't say anything. I don't say a fucking thing, but the whole time I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I'm picking it up. You know what I mean? It's a fucking egg, dude. You know what I mean? But that's Anthony for you, man. I love him for it. He is who he is. I'm just not going to do it. It's a fucking egg. It's like eating chicken with a goddamn knife and a fork. Like, no, dude. I'm just going to go. So that's me, man. That's where I'm at with that, and that's how I feel. And so moving forward, if you know me, and I tell you I gotta take a shit, stay the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
Give my 10 minutes. Let me do my thing. All right. And I'm in.
A little alone time.
Yeah. If you gotta pee, come do your shit and get the fuck out. Fuck you, man. You know what I mean? Fucking text me. I know who it is. And it was hilarious. And it was fucking hilarious. And it spawned this conversation, so I'm thankful for it. But man, it was uncomfortable. And then I'm talking to him while he's in there. And I was like, this is so weird to me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like it.
It's kind of you guys were shitting together.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Norbit? Okay, they're like in a foster or orphan home, and then yeah, we used to hold hands while we used to shit. You know what I mean? So I could never fathom that. And then you got the perverts that are into shit porn. That's weird.
Perverts.
Yeah, that's weird.
People who indulge in porn can't really call people perverts too often.
No, you can.
For them,
yeah.
Perverts.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
These are the people we get to make fun of.
Yeah.
You sick bastards.
You fucking your browser history is shameful. It's disgusting.
You can look at mine. I'm like, yeah, we've all been there.
I'm like, hey, you've been down that rabbit hole too.
Yeah. But now that everyone has a 2-girl 1 cup. We've all seen it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That thing was viral before viral was viral.
Yeah.
But if you're still looking at that, wow.
Get some help.
Yeah. You need help. Okay. You need to want the help. It's what you need.
You don't need it, but you want it.
Yeah.
Or you want it, but you don't need it.
Yeah. We don't know yet.
We don't fucking know.
We're undecided.
We're still trying to sort this shit out. We don't know.
Who do you think wins the presidential election? This comes out on Monday, so it might be too late by then.
Yeah.
But here's our prediction.
I think Biden wins it.
I think Biden wins it too.
And I think that a lot of the calling for something different maybe resonated with a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's been some states that have flipped blue.
Yeah.
And and I think that when it comes down to it, I think that you look at just the votes. Like you take the votes for what they are.
Yeah,
and it's okay.
I told you, I think electoral college is shit. I think it's so stupid. I think at one time in history, in American history, it made sense. I think today, it's outdated. It needs to be updated. I think it's not a real representation of what the country's opinion was.
Yeah.
And with that said, I think also, I think when you have a president saying stop counting votes, this is, and even prior to it coming out, it's just saying I won't accept that. That's a real dictator shit, and we're not in it. We're not in that kind of world, man. Not here in this country. The world has that, but not here. That is a fucking problem, dude. And the worst thing I've seen from that is that people then just back it, like blindly back it. Like, yeah, this is bullshit. I don't know why, but it's bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's one thing about me. I question myself toughly. As I said earlier, I listen to Alex Jones, but I'll listen to like Young Turks, and I'll listen to different perspectives. Even when it comes to sports, like you have like a Skip Bayless and a Shannon Sharp, right? Two totally different perspectives. That's why the show is there. I think a lot of that's for the show, so that's a little different story. But I think, like, dude, you're telling people to stop counting votes. Like, I don't know, your vote doesn't count. Like, this is the same guy that was trying to remove post office boxes so you can mail in your ballots and shit like that. Like, dude, that's some real fucked up weird shit to do.
It is.
Yeah, it's my opinion on it, at least. Maybe there's another perspective, man. Maybe. I'm open to hearing it. If somebody else has something like, hey, you should check this video out because this is why he was doing that. Maybe.
Yeah.
We talk.
And no, I just want to. There have been some things that have happened within like the Senate and all that kind of stuff, governors and. What I want everybody to understand too is that number one, the votes do matter. You go out and you do vote, and if you choose to vote, that's your choice also, right? So, not to be shamed into voting and all this kind of stuff. Your job is bigger than that. Your job is to understand that the president is going to be the president. There's always going to be a new one that comes in every 4 years, or in our case, every 8 fucking years. But the biggest part about it is that you have to understand that whatever it is that you are an advocate for, you need to push that year in, year out, year in, year out. No matter the president, you need to stand behind some of these ideals.
What are your core values?
Yeah, you need to stand behind them no matter who's president. Keep pushing them. Keep doing your thing, because I'll tell you right now, in our lifetime, we've dealt with President Bush, we've dealt with fucking Obama,
Well, Clinton.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like for a greater aspect,
we really understood
right?
what was going on. Yeah,
fair
enough.
So for 16, well, not 16 years. Yeah, 16 years.
Eight.
Yeah, 16 years.
So 20. We got
Right?
20. These last 4.
Why?
Obama's 8.
I mean, you
Bush is
you had Bush
8.
8. You had Obama for 8. What I'm saying is that you've had presidents, and we're still at the point of where we are now. I want to encourage everybody to understand that even though I believe Biden will be elected president, that's just my thought behind it. It's bigger than that. It's always going to be bigger than who's the president. It's going to be down to what you stand behind and how hard you push it and where you're pushing it and how you do so. So don't think that Biden will save you.
No.
Right?
No.
And so it comes down to just how you can make an impact on your level, how you can make an impact in your state. Because a lot of it comes down to that. So I just want everybody to understand the president's going to be elected, and that's all fine and good. You get a Democrat in office, and it's better than what it could have been. But just push what you got to push, and keep it going, because this is not the end of it. You know what I mean? It's just a point. Okay. We're gonna hit a point where we know who the president's gonna be, but the real issues that matter aren't relying on that.
That doesn't solve the problem
at all.
Can we jump into the truth?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so I had one earlier and I totally fucking forgot what it was, and that's why I need a notepad. But with that reevaluating, my truth is gonna be this, man. I think if you want to vote and everyone's like, "Oh, did you vote? You're gonna do this and that." A lot of people, just because of that, jump in and vote and don't have a fucking clue on what they're voting for. They didn't do any research, didn't do any homework. They don't really understand what they're doing. And there's the presidential, but you go vote. There's the who do you want for president, but there's all these other things underneath it. So if you're gonna vote and you're gonna fucking weigh in on shit, you should understand what you're weighing in on. You know what I mean? Like it's one thing, and I've already said before. I think people tend to just, I don't like this guy. I'm just gonna vote against him, or I'm gonna do this. Understand their policies and the things they're talking about, and like in today's time, you watch these debates, and they're so full of shit that you really get no information on it. And politicians in general, I think, are full of shit. But I mean, there's just propositions against a lot of things like dialysis, for an example. There's a whole thing going against that. And if you don't know, you understand too, the way they're worded on these ballots are so ambiguous, you know what I mean? Where you don't really understand what it is if you haven't really looked into what it is. You know what I mean? They're not really at that game time, they're not there to explain it to you. So if you didn't know, you can really fucking do something that you wouldn't have done, but it's on you because you haven't done the homework, and I think making an uninformed decision is worse than making no decision at all. You know what I mean? In my opinion, I think if you're not going to take the time to really try to understand what you're doing, then you should just stay the fuck out of there. Leave it to people who did. And that's shit. But it's your fucking. We have a right to vote in this country. Take it serious if you're gonna do it, and educate yourself on what you're doing. And I think that goes across the board for anything that you're gonna involve yourself in. Is educate yourself on what you're doing before you do it. And
Yeah.
that's my truth.
And when I look at our country, like specifically during this time, I do want to give a huge shout out to some of the individual accomplishments that have happened. You've had transgender, homosexual people who have been elected to governors and things like that. I think that is a real milestone. So I think you look at some of those things, and those are things that I think are progressive.
Agreed.
Like I don't think right now I don't think the president's progressive. I think you're voting
Oh
blue
yeah.
against red. But I think when you look at transgenders who are, I think, has got appointed to governor of a state, you've had I want and forgive me for not remembering this stuff, but there's been transgender, there's been, I want to say, African American homosexual woman who has been appointed to a certain office. I think those are the progressive things that we need to look at and kind of celebrate in a way where it's progressive, because it's not necessarily the things that got them elected. It's that we've allowed we
What?
we we've we've accepted the
In,
different way of life,
in
right?
spite of those things, they got
Right.
elected.
You know,
Yeah.
so I think that you look at those things, and those things are very progressive to me, and I look at that and I think, okay, you're voting the right person based off of their ideals, not who they are.
Yeah.
And it, to me, that's a huge thing in terms of how we're progressing in this country.
Wow.
So I look at those things and I see we are making strides. We are moving forward. And right now it's heavily blue against red, and that's fine. But we look at these things, and there's so much more that goes into it in our country, and that's a reason to celebrate.
Agreed.
My truth is going to be down to the household. My truth is going to be that we need to make sure that we're putting the energy that we put out for these things, and the care that we put out into these things into our house and into our household. And we look at how we are just interacting with our family, the ideals that we put forward. And I remember listening to something earlier this week, and they were saying, well, racism is something that's taught, and you
Yeah.
know, bigotry and all those different things, and just understand that we all have the it's all what's going to happen behind closed doors. It's not necessarily what happens in the mainstream, it's what we do behind closed doors that really impacts us as a country, impacts us as people. um and I think that's where we need to put our focus into. So for all the people that are in my life, I want to encourage people to just make sure you're standing for what you believe in, no matter what you're being told or what you follow as far
Mm-hmm.
as presidential. Just remember that it all starts in your household.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest impact day to day. It's what belongs, what happens in your household, and that's my truth. Just put some effort into that. So you guys have heard whiskey time. Make sure you guys go check out Laphroaig. Great fucking whiskey. It ranked really high Anthony obviously didn't get a chance to try
He
it.
didn't taste it. I want to drink his right now, so it's okay.
Yeah. But he went home. Guys, make sure you guys are checking out the Instagram. Make sure you guys are following.
Hey,
go follow the YouTube.
Yeah, big request from you guys. So we got a few people that are constantly like, hey, you know what, then reposting and doing all that, man. And that's all love there. But you know what, man? We set a goal for ourselves, man. We're trying to get 100 followers on the YouTube, and we're not too far away. And so for us, I think, man, if you guys could go out and encourage people, show them the show. If you're listening and you're not subscribed to YouTube, subscribe to YouTube. Cause I got something big I got planned if we hit 100 for the show. Really trying to get to that mark. If you guys enjoyed it, go ahead and do that. Thumbs it up. Download the shit on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever it is you choose to listen to. Go to the Instagram, follow the Instagram. Fucking double tap on the photo, man. You know, all these things take. You could do them all in 12 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, it's really not that big of a deal. But we do appreciate the you know, the support. But and if you don't like it, then don't do it. You know what I mean? If you don't, then just don't. Don't thumbs it down. Please stay away from that. You know what I mean? Thumbs it up. You know what I mean?
But let us know.
Yeah. No, you know, man, but on a serious note, man, seriously, the support we've got has been great. I get a lot of support all the time. It fucking blows my mind how many people I think have been supportive of just the shit that I want to do. And so I appreciate that. But also, like I said, if you did like it and you're not doing those things, go ahead and do them.
Yeah. The supporters that we do have, we can count on that shit.
Yeah.
And that's amazing to me.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So a
again,
huge shout out, huge love to all you guys who repost us and do all that. It means the world to us. We're just trying to entertain you guys.
And I think that's a real nod to saying, if you get up and you just try to do something, the people that'll fuck with you, that, you know what I mean? If you're putting your all into it, people will fucking fuck with you. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I took from it. Like, if you get up and you had something you want to do it and run with it. Yeah. And have a blast. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so there you go. So again, if you're still listening, push the fucking button, subscribe, and that's it. Again, man, we appreciate it, guys. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a blast. Min and Means podcast, man. We're always here. Every Monday we drop. We're on YouTube. We're on everything. Every Friday we got the sports segment coming to you guys live. We're sponsored by no one, so feel free there too. You know, we used to get those. If you guys want to make some contributions, shoot it to my Zelle, my fucking Venmo, James Venmo,
even recommendations.
Yeah, even recommendations. It's been a while since we got any, so you know, guys, go out, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to anybody. I don't care who you talk to. Just do it. You know what I mean? Get him here. And with that said, guys, as always, okay, bye.